What's up, guys? Today we have Dungeon Punks. What's Dungeon Punks, game aside? I'm gonna tell you. Dungeon Punks is a 2D side-scroll game, but in kind of the oldie arcade fashion where you go up and down on the screen and then defeat your opponents from essentially the lane you're in. And here we have, treasure chests, bases we can destroy, and power-ups. But what's cool about this is they added RPG elements to level up your character throughout the levels. Let's begin. Hey, game side, is there any voice acting? No, there's no voice acting here, but we do have dialogue on the bottom of the screen telling the whole story. Funniest thing about this kind of linear story is that it's not so linear because they add a lot of jokes and funny comments here, and they also, you're fighting for the king and then you accidentally kill his bird and you thought that was the thing you had to kill, and then you have to go hide because he's gonna sick lawyers on you and you're gonna get in trouble, and sometimes it's so funny. When it comes to how the world works, essentially it's a different area for every few levels, and every level is absolutely different and it's awesome, and you can choose to go back to those levels whenever you want to level up your character and then go back to the harder levels. Yo, game aside, is the combat pretty dope? Well, the combat is what it is, essentially. I mean, you have a different amount of weapons that you can use, and I would say there's a fair amount, and they all look different. Thank God. Thank you guys so much for developing weapons that don't look the goddamn same. That's really awesome. You'll be using different spells and different combo attacks to defeat your enemies throughout the levels. You get to pick what character you start out with at the beginning of the game, but eventually you'll unlock all these characters through leveling up, and each character has its own special abilities and strengths and weaknesses. After the levels and defeating many enemies, you'll be able to go back to the store. You can buy spells, you can do a quick buy, which someone buys all the stuff for you. It's kind of like a weird auto buy thing. Not for equipment though, you can choose to buy any equipment you'd like from this person, but you do get better treasure out in the levels. So always look for treasure, make sure you always pick those up, but this is kind of the cool RPG element that this game has. Something that's really cool is definitely the graphics and how every level is different. Thank you so much for making all the levels different. You always see something new every, few levels, and it's nice to see. Something that's always the same and not good though is definitely the boss battles. It seems like they're very generic and you just hack and slash your way to victory using rage points as well. And rage is picked up throughout the levels and it's a huge attack. And please nerf these birds. These birds are assholes! And if you have friends to play with, besides so, there is couch co-op, and that's really nice and it plays very well. The problem I'm having here though is, let's say this game takes 15 to 17 hours. The problem here is that the game is $15. So I think price is really important, especially when I'm reviewing a title. If this game was $10, I would say absolutely go for it, but it's really up to you. Even though everything's pretty good, it's $15. And talking about the soundtrack real quick, it's really nice and soothing most of the time. It's not like super exciting when nothing's happening or vice versa. It's a really good soundtrack all the way through, and it's not like terrible music like a lot of indies do have, or very repetitive. It's very good and very clear most of the time, and it's really enjoyable sound. If you like the old arcade games and you want kind of a remastered version of one of those games, this is kind of it, and it's kind of funky storyline, really good graphics, decent combat. I mean, there's not very many variations, but it comes together pretty well. This game's going to get a 7.5 out of 10 on Game Aside. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting this channel. Woohoo!